Hello, Bianca. I was so looking forward to our chat today, honestly. I don't know, maybe I wasn't paying attention last month, but I feel like it was a pretty intense little month we had here. And
Eclipse
then
season. Yeah.
eclipse season, and then I started like looking into the new forecast for November. And the first phrase is there's a swirl of confusing and potentially aggressive energy present in November. And I was like, okay, I'm going to wait for our chat because I don't want to go any further than that. But please tell me it's over. Please tell me we're not going to have like more of this weird energy.
Let's see, Flavia. I can't make any promises. Yeah, I mean, I will say, I really think those couple weeks of eclipse season that really just wrapped up this weekend with the lunar eclipse in Taurus, like we're still processing all of that. You know what I mean? And I think Scorpio season in general, which is what we're in, is quite an intense time generally, right? It's like digging into your emotions, like things coming up from the surface. So, that's happening within us, but then I think also collectively, right? We're seeing lots of different things, to say the least. And yeah, I did say that this month, November, is going to start off with some confusing and potentially aggressive energy. And that's because Mercury and Mars in Scorpio are very close together. And then like that happened kind of at the end of October to begin with. But yeah, and then we're gonna have the sun aligning with Mars, which can be about aggression, action, war, right? Those are joining up and trining Neptune, which loves to make things confusing. Hence why I said confusing, potentially aggressive energy. So something to be aware of. Obviously, we could maybe see this in the macrocosm of our world and what's happening in world events, but it could also just be on a more personal or interpersonal level in our kind of everyday life. So just something to be mindful of. Again, I always say these things not to scare anyone, but just so that we're aware of what's happening and we can act accordingly and maybe pause before we react type of vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're bringing you're bringing awareness to the table, which I love. We're all about creating more awareness, more self-awareness. And when we're talking about the horoscopes, of course, we're trying to give you tools that align with your astrology, but are also meant to give you guidance according to your specific sign and rising sign. And so I love that you're saying, okay, if we create the awareness, we can be probably better prepared to brace for what's coming and to see where this month is going to take us.
Yeah. The nice thing, there are nice things about this month, okay? Like it's not all unsettling or whatever. The first thing that kind of happens this month is on November 4th, we have Saturn stationing direct in Pisces. So this is going to help maybe feel like we have more like structure with things moving forward. We feel like we're able to take more responsibility. We might be able to enact like higher standards in certain things, especially when it comes to our beliefs, emotional boundaries, and things like compassion. So I hope that really makes itself known in the collective, because Saturn is more of a collective planet. It's not as personal as some of the other ones, like Mercury, for example. So let's see, and Saturn direct can also be a kind of reality check about things. So let's see what that has in store for us. And yeah, it ends the retrograde period that began in June, on June 17th. So we always have about 4.5, 5 months of Saturn retrograde. So now that's over. This period starting this summer to now might have been a time where we were like reevaluating a lot of things when it came to boundaries and responsibility. So now is the time to have them take form in the real world if they haven't already.
Right. Okay. So it's also the end of phases where there was like the eclipse season I read closed a 1.5 year long cycle. Is it
Exactly.
possible?
Yes, exactly. Because the eclipses are always related to the lunar nodes in astrology, and the nodes change sign every 18 months. So the North Node moved into Aries in July. And before that, the North Node was in Taurus. So therefore, we just had a Taurus lunar eclipse, which, as I think I explained in the October live, the Taurus lunar eclipse was kind of bringing this like Ouroboros energy, the snake eating its tail. It's like endings and beginnings at the same time. Lunar eclipse, full moon, ending, celebration. But it was about the new beginnings of that North Node in Taurus period of time. So definitely ending a chapter, and you can look at where Taurus is in your chart, which house it falls under, to see like which area of life might have been affected in the last 18 months or so. That might be something to consult a professional astrologist such as myself about. But
Such
if you
as
know,
yourself,
some of the basics, you might be able to parse through it. For me, Taurus is mostly in my third house, which has to do with communication, for one, the way your mind works. It can be about learning, publications, your neighborhood acquaintances. And I can see that it really helped me like think differently about things, especially with Uranus being in Taurus all this time as well. And just, making me a better writer and like connecting to that part of myself more.
I love that.
Yeah.
I would love to hear your thoughts about where I stand with all of this shift. So I'm probably going to consult you later about it.
Yeah.
You don't
Okay,
have
we'll
to
talk
open
about
it
it.
now. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know off the top of my head. We'll look at it after. Might be actually same-ish area of life because I have a different rising sign than you, but it's close enough. So anyway, we'll talk about that after.
Okay. Anyways, please do consult with Bianca because she can help you in so many ways find clarity around big life topics. We just had a huge session with Joanna earlier last Saturday. You came. It was really, really a great community event. And I was thinking how beautiful it could be to actually merge your talents and create something about, change and how our astrology also impacts the way we approach change. And
I love
so,
that.
yeah,
Manifester making things happen.
making things happen. I don't know.
I love
I'll
it.
give you Joanna's number later.
I have your number already, no worries. But yeah, it was a really good session. Also happened on that Taurus lunar eclipse. And yeah, I felt it was kind of extra potent for that reason. So okay. November this month, the next major thing that's happening is on the 8th, we have Venus, planet of relationships, how we interact with each other, our values, moving into the sign of Libra, which is very nice, which really helps out this month, gives us an extra support there. And really, if we think of Libra, we came out of Libra season, we experienced it last month. Libra is so charming. It's about like social niceties, being polite. It also has to do with beauty, aesthetics. So generally, this is bringing way better vibes and hopefully harmony to some relationships in our life. So at least with everything that's going on, perhaps in some ways we can have more understanding and see things in more of a balanced way and just find ways we can get along, like common ground. That's what I really hope for this month as of next week with Venus in Libra.
Can you believe that I'm going to see my sister for the first time on the 11th of November after not speaking with her for about 8 months?
Wow.
So I love that you're saying it's going to be like an optimistic and outspoken edge on the 10th.
Exactly. Because on the 10th, Mercury moves into Sagittarius. I love how you're one step ahead of me now. You're like pro. Mars moves into the sign of Sagittarius on the 10th. And this is a big contrast from Mercury and Scorpio. Mercury and Scorpio is like, I need to get to the bottom of things. I need to investigate. Like I might be obsessive about what I'm thinking about. Whereas Mercury and Sagittarius is kind of like, we're coming up for air. There's more of like an exploration in the way we communicate. It's a bit more friendly, outgoing, optimistic. We can maybe jump to conclusions a little bit with that Sagittarius energy. So that's something to be mindful of, because Sagittarius as a sign is a fire sign and it's mutable. So it can be a little all over the place sometimes and just be like, this is what I think, and like blurt things out, which sometimes is fine. Other times it might be like, oops, I just said that to someone and maybe they didn't need to hear it that way. So, but yeah, overall, I like Mars and Sagittarius a lot. It also really, helps us gather these like bigger insights about things. So being able to see things from a greater perspective than, Mercury and Scorpio, which can be kind of like myopic and like, I'm just looking at this part of it and I'm like obsessed with this little part of it. So yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. So then I'm going to just keep going, Flavia.
Go for it.
On the 11th, we have Mars in Scorpio opposite Taurus and Uranus. So this can be a day, to be honest, with a little bit of tension.
No, there could be the 11th.
Yeah.
No, come on.
Next time you need to consult me for better days.
All right.
No, you'll be fine. What's cool about Mars opposite Uranus? Okay, aside from the tension, aside from the spontaneity, sudden actions, it can really get us to be decisive. If we've been dragging our feet on something, that Uranus energy with the Mars energy can make us just do the thing. So that is something that is maybe a bit more constructive or positive about this otherwise potentially chaotic transit on the 11th.
Okay. At least I've got the awareness now,
Yeah, exactly. So then on the 13th, we have our first lunation of the month. We have a new moon in Scorpio, not an eclipse, guys. Okay, we're out of that eclipse stuff. Okay. Mars is involved in this new moon, though, which again can contribute to some like aggression, but it can really help us make things happen, especially new moons. It's a time to manifest, set intentions, right? Get something started. So Mars's presence can like help us make it actually happen instead of just like, la, 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 I'm like thinking of things, whatever. And also like Pluto, which rules Scorpio, is squaring the lunar nodes, which are about our destiny, which is really also going to help us feel this urgency to actually transform in the way that we know that we're supposed to. And it's interesting because on one hand, there's this like almost like spiritual awakening, renewal energy from this new moon in Scorpio, which I really love. But then on the other hand, because of Mars and Uranus, we could also potentially feel a bit triggered or like attacked by whatever's going on in your life. So just something to be aware of, can you lean more into the spiritual awakening energy if that's what you want? Or if you notice yourself being triggered around the 13th, can you take all of that as an opportunity to learn, like investigate, like, okay, why am I angry about this? Like, why is this bothering me so much? Right? Digging into that. We're still in Scorpio season, right?
All right. So just as a disclaimer and as a translation for everyone watching this. It's gonna be a month. I think it's gonna be like a pretty intense month. It looks like there's gonna be a lot of introspection to be done.
Yes. Yep. And honestly, because of how close Mars is to the sun all month, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I don't necessarily, at least astrologically, see a de-escalation in some of the aggression that's going on in the world right now. So not to be pessimistic, not to give up all hope and whatever, but that's what Mars is saying, like that's what the astrological weather kind of is, but it's not about giving up, right? We still got to push through and speak up about what we believe is right and what is wrong. Yeah. So our saving grace of the month, though, is the fact that Mercury in Sagittarius is making a really nice sextile supportive relationship with Venus in Libra. So again, the way we're communicating, the way we're relating to people is flowing really nicely this month. So there might be terrible things happening, sudden actions, things we don't agree with, things that are devastating. I don't know. Let's see how things go. But I think at least on a more personal and interpersonal level, there might be some, grace there. There might be some more understanding. There might be some more compassion. That's what I'm hoping for with Mercury in Sagittarius making this sextile to Venus in Libra. Yeah.
Like even in the perspective of communities coming together. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And I think also, Saturn direct might help with that too. Helping us like really take responsibility for our role, right? We all have, and I just want to say like very generally, we all have different roles, right? Like, I was kind of writing about I think I wrote about this in my newsletter recently, but especially on social media, we can sometimes feel pressure to do a certain thing, to act a certain way, to say a certain thing, especially when, big world events are going on. But we truly all have different roles, and we need to honor that and respect that and not feel guilty or shameful when we're not doing what everybody else is doing. Because maybe if we focus more on what we're meant to do, on our role in whatever it is, then that actually benefits everyone more than us thinking we need to do a certain thing or act a certain way.
I love
whatever
that
the
you're saying
circumstances
that.
are.
I love that you're saying that. I don't feel, I really resonate with it because I was reflecting on the role of social media nowadays and how everyone feels that they have to communicate how they feel, or that they have to have an opinion, or and I feel like collectively this has been a way also to process what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also been thinking about the power of processing these things on your own. And it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel like, you don't comprehend everything that is happening at the moment. And these feelings are all valid, and you don't have to suppress them or try to overcome them in weird and wonderful ways. You can just sit with it, be uncomfortable.
Yeah, 100%. 100% totally on board with that. It's really funny because I actually recorded a podcast episode that's going to go live tomorrow has so much to do with like being alone and processing things alone and the importance of that. So totally related to what you're saying. And I also think it's important as I was kind of mentioning before, to not lose hope. You know what I mean? Even if the energies are really heavy, even if it's really hard not to feel hopeless, because I mean, if we're all in a state of just fear and shock all the time, how are we actually going to get anything done or make the world a better place? You know, because I think there is always also an energetic element to everything. So even if we have good intentions, but like what we're putting out there is kind of buying into fear, I don't know how helpful that is.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Whoever's watching, you take with that what you will. But yeah.
No, I totally agree with you. And I can remember the words of my wise friend Elena, you know, who was saying about, who was telling me about the energy, the frequencies we want to be aligned with. And we are bodies of water, you know, and water is extremely like in tune with the energy around us, etc. And given the frequencies we feed our bodies, then we become them. So if we want to really overcome this time, even if we are not in the power, we don't have the power, we don't have the actual tools to do anything at the moment, we can still, as you say, foster a positive mindset and try to look to a brighter future, or a future where
And
hopefully
just, yeah, exactly. And just try to proceed with love. Like it's, you know, obviously it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be frustrated and whatever with what's happening, but to just like keep moving with love as much as possible.
yes,
Sounds really cheesy and simple, but I don't know. That's to
it's
me,
a
that's what it comes
truth.
down to.
It
Honestly.
is.
Yeah.
Like, it really moves me what you're saying, because we can create huge ripples in our worlds, in our communities, in our even families or close relationships. We can create huge ripple effects um, if we are in that energy. And as you say, move with love, move with grace, move with kindness. Try to always bring your energy back to this so that you can create a ripple.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, all right. We get to some interesting energies around the 17th, 18th of the month, when we have, yeah, the Sun and Mars aligned together. Like Sun and Mars are basically conjunct, smushed together in Scorpio. That's where this aggressive energy comes from. And again, trining Neptune, right? Like I mentioned at the beginning of our talk about the month. So let's see what happens around then. Like, I'm not really sure. I think there might be a lot of like confusing actions going on. And one thing I just want to say, like, just really in general, whether it's world events, whether it's just something that's happening in your community or to you, do your best to use discernment, right? To like take a step back, to think critically, to ask questions. If you don't have the answers, that's okay, right? And I think it's also really important sometimes to just say, you don't know, instead of pretending that you're sure about something. So that's kind of what I'm feeling, or, you know, for that time that might be a little bit confusing. And maybe there's some like aggression coming up. And yeah, in general, we have a little bit of Earth energy because of Uranus and Taurus and Jupiter and Taurus. But another kind of thing I say about this month is to just really don't forget to ground yourself. Don't forget to do whatever grounding practices help you fresh air outside, grounding in nature, breath work, meditation, maybe it's yoga. So many great resources for that on the Aura app, you know? Yeah, because like we might need to kind of counterbalance all this like intense Scorpio energy, and its opposite is Taurus, right? Its opposite is nature and the present moment and pleasures, right? Like indulging in certain pleasures if we need to.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So really being in tune with our environment and nature. And I also read that you said like in tune with that, like, or more in contact with our roots. And I love that.
Yes, exactly. Because I think it's really easy in times that feel very turbulent to feel uprooted, right? To feel like you can't grasp onto anything. But I really think there's always something you can grasp onto, like whatever that is for you. So don't forget about those things, even if they're really simple. You know, even if it's like, I'm cooking dinner for myself tonight, or I'm gonna connect with my friends. Whatever makes you feel rooted.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Bianca.
Yeah. So, yeah. So now just a couple more things.
Okay. I thought, okay. Yep.
We're not, that was just,
I'm
sorry, that was just the middle of the month.
at the 22nd for some reason.
No. Now
I'm
we're
so
going to talk about
sorry.
the 22nd. No,
Okay,
no.
okay.
I know it's been a lot. You're like, okay, is it over yet? No. No. We still haven't talked about Sagittarius season yet. So Sagittarius season is starting the 22nd. This is fiery energy. This is fun in some way, hopefully. Sagittarius can be a lot about independence, wanting freedom, wanting to explore, moving towards the future, you know, spirituality, philosophy, higher education, expanding our minds, expanding our understanding and perception. And Mars also moves into Sagittarius on the 24th, which keeps things interesting and will hopefully be a little easier to deal with than Mars and Scorpio, which I think is bringing a lot of this intensity. Yes, and then I'll conclude with the full moon in Gemini on the 26th, 27th. Again, Mars is in here, so it's not so cute and fun necessarily, like it can be, but let's see. Because it's also, this one is basically like, okay, in a full moon, the sun is always opposite the moon. That's normal. But then we have like the sun and Mars here, and then like Saturn up here squaring everything. So there's like some tension here. Great time to blow off steam.
Okay.
For sure on this full moon in Gemini. And then there's also a lot of creative potential because of the way Mercury and Neptune are aligned. So that's really cool. So maybe working on something creative too. And yeah, just there might be some misunderstandings. You might be a little more sensitive than usual on the full moon in Gemini. But let's see.
I'm loving this month already.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh God, I feel like if we can bring back, like, if we can narrow it down to our personal experiences and not bring in like the whole world situation. I feel like this couple of months have been very necessary on a global level, probably as well, just for people to create more self-awareness and work through. I mean, for me, like, it's a whole huge topic at the moment is shadow work, you know, and just like doing this inner inventory and stuff. But I feel like this is the time to do it. This is the time that you are the most uncomfortable. Everything is aligned so that you can feel extra uncomfortable. So just, you know, I feel I just feel I've given up resisting it. And I feel that I'm just like, you know, ready to take it all in and just melt into the discomfort and melt into this hard work.
Yeah. And I honestly think Scorpio season is probably the best time of year to do the kind of work you're describing, right? Really getting to the core of things, to the depths of your soul, to see the darkness, and instead of like running away from it like we might want to do or might usually do, we confront it, right? And it can be very difficult and scary and uncomfortable, as you're saying, but it is necessary. And it's one of the most profound ways to actually grow and transform, right? It's not superficial growth and, oh, I'm checking off these boxes. It's like, no, like my soul is evolving, right? I'm transforming in such a big way, even though it might not feel so big in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what December holds for us.
Yeah.
In the meantime, everyone, have a great Scorpio season. However painful and difficult it could also be super sweet for you. Who knows? But we'll be back next month. But we also will see each other again with Bianca for our next community event at the end of November, which is a class on spirituality for dummies, basically. And
Totally. Yeah.
And I can't wait for it to launch. I'm going to send out the details pretty soon on Instagram, everywhere, in your newsletters. If you're not a newsletter subscriber and you want to get all the offers before everyone else does, please do subscribe. And yeah, I mean, we'll be speaking again. We'll have another live actually this month. So I'm super
True, we
looking
will, to
forward
talk
it.
more about spirituality for dummies, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Bianca.
You're welcome. If anyone has questions, feel free to DM me at Life Forces Inc. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves.
And see you next month.
See you next month.
Thank you.